Hi, this is Anna Imagination of the Healing Garden, and welcome to Philosophical Coffee. Oh my God. For those who are new to my channel, I'm a philosopher, and I was finishing up on my last podcast. Um, I just did a segment for shifting perspectives, and I had this moment of just at the very end of it all coming together. And I went, son of a bitch, I see it now. I created the Healing Garden in 2022, September of 2022. And I have been trying to figure out my brand, my logo, my motto, and I couldn't do it. It wasn't coming to me. And I learned a long time ago, when it comes to art, you can't force it. You're not remembering it. You're not doing it. You're not knowing it because the universe says it is not time. So I said, you know what? I know I have a business without a brand, a logo, a motto. I'm well aware. And when I am ready, the universe will give it to me. So I left it alone. I just did the Healing Garden without any kind of a brand, a logo, a motto. True story. So September 2022, it's obnoxious because it's like the rule number one of any business is you get your brand, get your logo, get your motto. And I went, yeah, it's not there yet. It's just, so I'm just like doing my thing. And here's the thing is, as soon as you have a logo, a brand, a motto, it just, boom, there you go. Instant business. Truly, it is. It comes together. When it is solid, it just falls into place. It is literally, and I just sent David, one of my peoples, I just sent him one of my, like, I had the epiphany and I sent him a WhatsApp message and I'm like, dude. And I'm like updating him on this massive breakthrough. And I said to him, this is it right here. It's like I've been sailing a ship without any colors for the last year and a half. True story. Like, well, a year now. I'm like, I literally have been sailing without any kind of colors. And I got my colors. This is it. So this is what I'm referring to as philosophical coffee. And it's the motto was fucking gorgeous. Healing the world with wisdom love over coffee. And it's like the stable, like boom. I feel like I just took this big stick, a metal stick, a maple with colors, and I just rammed it into the earth, just crammed it right down and went, this is it. This is it. And I feel so solid right now. So philosophical coffee is basically all of the shit in my head. And it is exploring where I am in these 12 stages. And I have the answers. I can sit down and read Pythagoras. That's cheating. I could read all of Plato's work. But I feel like, spoilers, why are you telling me what's waiting for me in the future when I can just explore it? I would rather explore it untainted by their opinions and just learn this and adventure on my own. And you're more than welcome to come along for the ride. You're more than welcome to use my material to heal. But healing is my mastery. And that is like, I made healing and the subconscious mind my little bitch. And I had to. I wouldn't be capable of a fraction of the stuff that I do without it. And I've been trying to figure out for a while how all of this is going to play together. And I'm just trusting the process, trusting my instinct, trusting the universe. Just I'm going with it. And I'm like, all right, it's going to click in. And one of the things I've always wanted to do is my own talk show, my own morning show. But I hate, and I talk about this so much, I hate the idea of getting up at 2 a.m., getting on the subway, going into Manhattan, being in a studio at 3 a.m. where they do makeup and all that garbage. I want to be doing this shit in my pajamas in the comfort of my own home. And I went, fuck this shit. It's the 20th, 21st century. I was born in the 80s, like 1980. So, like, it's still the 20th century in my brain because that has a nice ring to it. It's all the TV I watched from 1980 to 2000, 20th century Fox. I blame them. So that's still in my head. The idea of it being the 21st century still just like, it doesn't have a flow to it. So in my brain, it's still the 20th century because, and I watched the Jetsons. Like you can't, it's just this feeling. And it's just, I am so zen right now. So I'm introducing Philosophical Coffee. And sure enough, as soon as I said it, I could see the logo, I could see the brand, I could see the motto. And I'm like, yes, I have a colored. So I'm like, I see me on my ship now because the flag is going up. And I'm like, yes, I'm so happy I have a flag now. I have a flag. And I love it because my Philosophical Coffee is the core. Oh my God, it feels like I'm home. I am home. And now I've got my studio, I've got my thing out there, I've got my brand, and it's this beautiful thing that's just clicking together. So I want to talk about I just did a video. The video was an hour and 20 minutes long. And I'm going, you know what? This is now officially a morning show, second edition. So, and because this is now a morning show, I don't have to freak out about, oh my God, it's going over. Who fuck the time? Fuck the time. If you don't have this, I don't give a shit. There's going to be people who just turn this on and say, you know what, I'm going to do dishes. I'm going to do my morning routine. I'm going to do my yoga. I'm going to get ready for work. I'm going to commute. And if you're living in New York City, I know you've got a 2-hour commute ahead of you. So fuck the time restraints of you can't have a podcast longer than 30. Fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. No. Now, when I am valued, people will sit through my 90-minute spiels, and I don't give a shit. And I feel it. It's my God, the purpose. Purpose, I'll tell you, purpose is the engine. It is the engine of anything, of everything. Purpose is the fuel. You can have a dream, but if you don't have purpose, you're not going anywhere. You can be in life, but if you don't have purpose, your idea is going to go nowhere. It has to have purpose. And what I mean by purpose is it's incentive. It's what is it you want to do? Like there's and this is something that I had a lot of people say to me. They're like, "Oh, well, you have to do master classes. You have to do." And I had this meeting with one lady last night. Love her to pieces. Hi, Karen. And I walked into I felt the weight in my chest, and I listened to the universe. So while I'm like dialing in and I'm getting ready to talk to her, my whole DNA just vibrated and went, "You are not taking on one more client. You are not doing any more clients." And I'm like, I know. I feel that, universe. Thank you. It's just not who I am. It's not what I want to do. I don't want to change one life. I want to change all of the lives. And to do that, I can't be doing one-on-ones because that takes too much of my time. And I want to figure out, because there's just too many people. There's too many people with the same problem. And what I have in mind is completely restructuring the healing concept. And that's really what needs to happen, because the solutions we have right now are just it's like you've got the ship. All of the world is on the ship and it's sinking because all of the stuff that have been put in place 2,000 years ago is sinking the ship, and it's sinking it fast. And there's a lot of people putting band-aids all over the ship. And I'm going to use the analogy, and you're going to hear this a lot from me. One Piece. It's like Usopp is sitting there like slapping tar all over the place, and he's got shit going on. But dude, you've got a broken mast. The ship is going down. And I'm going, we need a new ship. We need a new ship. And ironically, my middle name is Sunshine. If you're a One Piece fan, you'll get that. But I'm sitting here going, all right, I get this. I absolutely get this now. It's all this beautiful thing is just coming together, and I see it, and I'm like, I have my purpose. And it's this moment where the sun comes over, and I just look up and I go, I see it now. And oh my God, I love my life. And I'm going, this is where I'm going. Yes. And it's so funny because you are going to your own moment of epiphany and sunshine and roses and beauty happening, but you don't know it or you don't believe it. You. Let's talk about the word you. You, in this case, is defined as to whom it may apply. I love this. Whenever I use the word you, it is to whom this may apply. Now, you have to decide. Everyone has to decide if you are my you to whom I am referring. And if it doesn't apply to you, dismiss it. Like, really, you get to decide if you are my you in my eye. See how this works? Take control, take authority, be awesome. So there you go. Here is your authority. I am giving it to you. So that is it really, is when I say the word you, it always means to whom this may apply. And I is always referring to me because this is my realm and I am the I within my realm. As you are the I in your realm, I salute you. So, and we is referring to all of the realms in all of the world, in all of the stories that ever be and ever will be again, in my perspective. So I feel this massive weight of just, when you define the words, everything makes so much more sense, which is like the first rule of logic and philosophy. So it was in my last video where I had this epiphany of let me define love for you. And I did. And I realized that every perspective has their own definition of love. Now, I'm going to tell you, every perspective has their own definition of every word. And that's the problem, is there are 12 dictionaries here, people. 12. And no one's using the 12 dictionaries. We have one dictionary that's trying to be a summation of them all. And I had this one conversation with this lady, love her to pieces. She and I met, and it took us 30 minutes. It felt like it was extraordinary. I have to go through the process of what this was. I show up and I felt guarded. It was like I was trying to figure out. I knew she was friend, but I didn't know how. So it was this whole, you're going to be in my world, but where do you fit? And I felt judged by her. I felt like she was condescending. My perspective, it doesn't mean she was. And I thought that the whole time, I'm feeling judged. Is this me? Is this my narcissism? Is this my paranoia? Or am I really being judged? So we talked. And it was the way she worded many things. It was the way I perceived her language. It was just a perception of how I received her language. And after about 30 minutes, I said to her, well, thank you. Thank you for your time. Sorry, excuse me. Thank you for your time, but I need to go. And she stopped me and she said, why? Well, I feel judged. And I can't tell if it's me and my perspective and my insecurity, or if you really are judging me. And I realized that I'm going into this exchange with my own authority. And I recognize that you have your authority. And I'm so used to approaching people as the teacher with authority. This is the first time I've met my equal, true equal. And I have the utmost respect for you. And you're over there doing your project, and I'm doing mine. And we are parallel. But I don't know if our lives are to meet yet. Oh, they will, as all lives will. But maybe right now is not our time to meet. I salute you, but maybe now is not the time. But it will be. And she said, we are putting this together. There are more of us. I said, I know. I said, this is the first time I've met somebody, and I don't really have anything to learn from you. And you don't have anything to learn from me. We both come together knowing already what each other knows. So we cannot come together as a student to teacher or a teacher to student. You are my peer. And I don't know what to do with this because it's never happened to me before. And I know this is one of many. I feel like I am in my Anna land and you are in your land. And we've come together and we've sniffed each other out. And it took us 30 minutes to realize we are just speaking a different language. So that when I said Anna land, in her world, she thought that meant arrogance and hierarchy. And I had to explain, no, Anna land is just my realm and my story in my perspective. And I never mean to impose it on anyone else. I encourage others to have their own story. But I need to know where a person is in order to speak which language they speak, because I understand there are 12 perspectives. So if you are residing at perspective 5 or 10, these are just assignments of realms. And it takes about 30 minutes to determine what language you are speaking, which perspective you are in, so I know which language to speak. It took me 30 minutes to realize she was in realm 12. I am now in realm 1 of 2. Technically, at this time, there are an infinite number of realms. But if you think of it as a universe, there is the universe of I of I. I, in this case, means the self. And the self is composed of 3 parts: I, you, they. Wow, I see it. It is the I of I, the you of I, and the they of I. And you have to learn each perspective, all 12 perspectives, at each interval. Once you complete the they of I, it opens up a 4th portal. All of I. Wow, I've been looking for that word. It's the all of I. That's the 4th. I've been looking for it for so long. So long. Time. It's only been 6 months in the material plane. I started this journey in April of this year. April of 2023. I was in the 6th perspective of the I of I. 6 of I of I. That's where everyone is right now. We're either in the 4 of I, or we're in the 6 of I. Some of us are in the 2 of I. I am in the 1 of you of I. That's where I am now. I am in 1 of you of I. The first perspective, the I of I, is the first 3 perspectives: 1, 2, and 3. And then 4, 5, and 6, that's the you of I. 7, 8, and 9 is the they of I. 10, 11 to 12 is the all of I. So that when you complete the first run of 12, you move on to the you of I. And then you have to complete the 12 of those. And then you move on to the they of I. And then you have to complete the 12 of those. When you're done with that, then you move on to the all of I, and that is the 12 through the all of I. That opens up the next triangle. That's when you shift. And it is I of you, of they, of all. I don't know what happens after the all of I. It opens and births the next triangle. And I don't know what that is. Not yet. This is the human journey. This is where we all are going. The you of I, or the I of I, is self-love. The you of I is you love. And the they of I is they love. And the all of I is all love. Beautiful, isn't it? This is called wisdom love, or wise love. It is loving with wisdom. Love is the core and the center of all. It is the being of all. And understanding this journey, understanding this type of love, It's very different than romantic love and platonic love. It's completely different. Romantic love is narcissist love. And platonic love is a bastardization of narcissist love. It was birthed from the minds of narcissists. So I'm highly suspicious of platonic love. But wisdom love existed prior to narcissism. I will say again, this is a philosophy that was invented by Pythagoras. I'm going to say discovered by Pythagoras because I discovered it. This is a discovery. It's not an invention. I invented the philosopher's compass to describe it, but this is a discovery. And as you proceed through these 12 perspectives with the I of I, the you of I, the they of I, the all of I, you uncover it. That is what we are all doing. Every one of us. That is what we all are doing. That's who we are. That's what we are doing. And the summation of this journey of wisdom love is your story. Unfortunately, it's been contaminated with narcissist love. And once you have this comprehension, once you have this knowledge, you can remove yourself from it. Step into the world of wisdom love. And my God, do you know then who you are? This is healing, which is actually the wrong word for this. I call it the understanding and the remembering. That's what this is. People say it's the awakening. I hate that word. It's so condescending. For me, the awakening or the awakened ones or, it's very condescending, hierarchical. I don't like it. There is the understanding and then there is the remembering. And then there is the knowing, the belonging. I see now. I understand. Every day I understand a little bit more. There is the understanding. And then there is the remembering. And as you understand and as you remember, it opens up the next stage. The next stage is the knowing, the belonging, the authority, the naming, and the owning. Now, you begin the journey. That is the journey. It's like the understanding and the remembering is the realization. And the knowing, the belonging, the authority, the naming, and the owning, that's when you're building your ship. But in the U of I, that's when you get to set sail. That's when you become a pioneer and you realize, oh, you don't know where you're going. You realize that it's a journey. The transition from understanding and remembering to the knowing, the belonging, the authority, the naming, and the owning is terrifying. It can be. It's terrifying because it's so uncertain because you have an undefined self. And that's why it's scary, is because you have an undefined self. That is the process of defining the self. My God, do I fucking love this everything. It is literally the definition of love. We have to have it. We require it. We need it. To not have it is to not know who we are. To not have love is to not know where we are. It is the coordinates. It is the defined self, our identity. And it is also our coordinates. It is our relative relation within the dimensions. And I have no idea. I can see the paths. I can see the stepping stones from where I am to where I am going. It's the I of I, the you of I, the they of I, the all of I. I can say to you now that this is my journey and this is where I am in the coordinates of love. I am I am in the one of the you of I. And it's one more layer to defining what love is, one more layer to defining everything. And it's just a journey. And every one of us has a little puzzle, a weakness, a challenge to overcome with every perspective that we are in. And you can be vigilant. You can be assertive with this. You can be active. You can say, I'm in the philosopher's compass and I'm going. Or you can be indifferent and yeah, it's there and I'm going to work on my career right now. And that's fine. It's all okay. But it's required for an allowance. When you choose to enter the philosopher's compass and begin this journey, there is no going back. Once you become aware of it, you're in it. And then the world is at peace because you know who you are and where you are. This is the journey of the Buddha. And this is the journey of Christ. And this is the journey of Mecca. This is it. It once was defined by Pythagoras and Socrates, Aristotle, Plato. And then we lost this information. We habitually followed this course instinctively without it defined. My life work has just been defining it. Nothing more and nothing less. I said in my last video that wisdom love was coined by Pythagoras. He called wisdom love philosophy. I remember when I started my philosophical studies, we asked the question, what is philosophy? It bugged me. No one could really define it. Love of wisdom is what they said. And I went, what the fuck does that mean? But if you actually look at the Greek and the Arabic, Sophie, the word is not only Greek, it's also Arabic. And Pythagoras had a lot of roots and inspiration from Arabia. So I ask, is philosophy really what we think it is? No, it's not. Absolutely not. No. And now that I'm at the I, at the one of you of I go, whoa, yeah, oh. People really mistranslated Pythagoras' word. Philosophy does not mean a lover of wisdom. It means wisdom love. It is a type of love. It is a type of love that is not known to man after the 4th century. And my research was nothing but discovering it, rediscovering it, defining it, putting it into name and putting it into order and going, oh, so this is Pythagoras. Actually, I thought it was Plato the entire time. And then I realized about 2 weeks ago that it was Pythagoras. When, what was it? I was looking up Vitruvius. It was Vitruvius's fault. Thank you, Da Vinci. Yes, it was 100% Vitruvius. He's the one who pointed the arrows and went, hey, Anna, psst, take a look at Vitruvius. And I went, who the hell is this Vitruvian man? All the people in the world for you to do this drawing. Why did you choose Vitruvius, Da Vinci? So I Googled Vitruvius and I went, interesting. So that's Vitruvius. The man invented air conditioning in the 1st century. He had this information and he gave it to Julius Caesar. And I went, interesting. And then from there, I was able to link Vitruvius back. I was looking up something to do with Vitruvius, and Pythagoras' name popped up. And I went, Pythagoras, like Pythagoras' theorem, that Pythagoras. And I went, interesting. What does Pythagoras have to do with any of this? Now, Pythagoras came about 150 years prior to Plato. Now, my philosophy begins with Socrates and Plato. So I didn't know that Pythagoras was a philosopher because I only studied Platonic philosophy from Socrates, Plato, and on up. That's literally where my studies began. So I had no idea Pythagoras was a philosopher until about 2 weeks ago. And then I discovered Pythagoras, how he is the father of the word philosophy, and how the word philosophy actually means wisdom love, a very specific type of love that has nothing to do with narcissistic love, otherwise known as romantic love, and or Platonic love, which, by the way, Plato had nothing to do with Platonic love either. So it's interesting. The whole thing is just interesting how it just keeps going back on itself over and over again. So these 12 stages, and this is something you understand when you finish and complete the 12th perspective. Every time you complete a perspective ethic, you walk away going, oh, I've learned something ethical. And you become conscious aware of it around the 5th, 6th perspective. But at the 7th perspective, it becomes defined. And then to the whole 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th perspective, a person can go through the perspectives not knowing that that's what they're following. But I got to the end, that 12th perspective, and I knew I was there consciously going, what lesson do I have to learn today? And I understand. It was this moment. I had completely thrown all love away. I had spent the first part of my life being narcissistic love, addicted and obsessed with love. And then I got hurt so badly that I swung the other way to the avoidant, where I want nothing to do with love. And over the last 2 to 3 weeks, I felt that chipping away. And I knew I was sliding back down into the integration. One could almost say that the 10th perspective was an obsession of love, while the 11th perspective, logic, was the refusal and the rejection and avoidant of love. But then the 12th perspective was the integration and the balance of emotions and logic that gives you love, wisdom love. Because you're using logic applied to your emotions to navigate your love. And it was at this integration at the end that I realized, oh, holy shit. The 12th perspective is learning love. Oh, holy shit. It is the summation of all 12 perspectives that give you the ingredients of love. Oh, holy shit. When you have all 12 perspectives, it creates the next triangle. Therefore, love is giving birth to the next creation. Yeah. Welcome to wisdom love. Geometrically fucking beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So I'm asking once again the question, I'm in a new perspective. And in this new perspective, I have new values to learn, new priorities. I have new lessons to learn, weaknesses and strengths. And I have no idea yet what they are, because I am in the first perspective of the U of I, and that is the journey. So and it was only today, just now, a few minutes ago, that I realized the all of I. It's so beautiful. This is like the beauty of geometry and physics. And it is geometry and physics. So there's people who, and it's interesting to see where everybody is. It starts with religion, and then it gets into spirituality. Well, there's a time period where you abandon both. So there's like religion, and then you get into this time period where you're an atheist, and then you become spiritual, and then you become physics and science. And this is the progression. And it's all the same. It's just an interpretation. That's the best part of all of this. So now I'm very like, give me the geometry, give me the physics. And I'm loving this. And it's amazing when I speak to other people and I talk to them, I can see where they are in the lineup, depending upon where they speak on spirituality, where they speak on physics, where they speak on religion. And I'm able to go, oh, I see you're in the second perspective. And it's just because of the language we use. The concepts are all identical. Every perspective is seeing it in the exact same way. It's just the language is different. And understanding the difference in the language allows you to literally walk through all the different perspectives. And here's the best thing. This is the stupid part and the beautiful part all at the same time. It's the language that we're all arguing about. All of this. This is why there's so much misunderstanding. It's because everyone is trying to say that you have to speak in my language. No, we need to really open our minds to learn all the 12 languages so that we can start conversing. And it's like, and this is how I see it, is we're all in our story. We're all the kings and the queens and gods and goddesses of our own realm. And we look across the sea and we see a new realm and we want to participate in that realm. So we walk over there, we bring gifts. Hey, I've come in peace. Here are my gifts. And it's an understanding and a respect of all the cultures. But the culture is not the land you live in or the traditions or the religions you were raised. It's the language of your own perspective with which we speak. And once you understand and you step into this world of comprehension and tolerance, but not just tolerance, celebration. It's truly a celebration that we each have our own story. And that's all that this is understanding that I have my story and you have your story. And learning how to coexist side by side with our stories. It's like every one of us is a book on a bookshelf in a vast library, the Vashta-Narada. And we're all arguing over whose book is better. And some of the books are written in French, and some of the books are written in English, and some of the books are written in the first perspective, others are written in the fifth perspective. And we're all arguing over whose book is the right book. And I feel like I'm stepping forward going, guys, you know we're all art, right? This is all art. It's all art. Like, you can have your favorites. You can have the ones that resonate with you, but it's art, which means my story is no better than your story. It's just a different story. And once we set aside the ego, once we set aside pride and arrogance, no, these are all the wrong words. Let's try using the right words. Once you set aside your insecurity, because that's really what that is. It isn't arrogance. It isn't ego. It isn't pride. Those are all beautiful things. Those are all growing words that you need to boost your confidence and your security. It is insecurity. It is the undefined self that feels threatened by another story because it's not possible to have your story when you don't know who you are. So you view another story as a threat because you lack the defined story of your own story. And the more you define your story and your identity and who you are, the more you can tolerate, celebrate, love, and go, yes, tell me your story. Let's compare stories. Fascinating. I often see it as I come into the realm of another person and we're curious about each other. And I say, I'll show you mine if you show me yours. And you tell me your story. And I show you mine. And we take these gold baubles and we just look at each other's story and we both go, fascinating. And then we throw it over our shoulder and throw it away. Because while it's your story and my story is my story, it's like we're all authors and and I've done this with books when I was an author where we compared stories. We oohed and awed, but we really just didn't give a shit because it was our story and you've got yours. Good for you. I'm glad you have yours and I have mine. But every now and then you meet someone and you say, I'd love to co-author a book with you. Now that's a whole nother realm. That's where you get to create a new story together with another author. That is what love is. Oh, that's what romance is. I don't like the word. It's tainted now with narcissism, so I can't relate to it anymore. It's garbage. That is what wisdom love is. That's what you get when you start working with a U of I. You create and you build your own story together with somebody else. That's really what this is. But you can't do that until you have your own story defined. Oh, this is so fucking beautiful. Just how it keeps weaving in and out itself. And sometimes you have to go back to your captain's log and your own journals, and you have to just figure all this shit out for yourself. Because it's vital that you nurture your own authorship. Ha! Authorship. That's so freaking awesome. I'm going to write that down. Authorship. I feel like that's a real word. And I just need to look it up to determine, like, this is a real word, but what does it mean truly? And authorship. The state or fact of being the writer of a book, article, or document, or the creator of a work of art. And in this case, the art is your life story. Isn't it amazing that we say the words life story? We are such story beings. It's disgusting. Like it's the more I look into this, the more I realize all the words have always been there. How could we not see this? Authorship, authenticity, authority, life story, past, present, and future backstory, present now. We are story beings. We have an obsession with story. How many billions and trillions of dollars every year do people invest, dump, hoard into story? We are all story collectors. Every one of us is obsessed with collecting story. How we collect story is unique, but we're all collecting story. Some people want to hear. This is where I am at. I'm at the stage where I want to hear everyone's perspective. But there was a time where all I did was buy books. And then there was a time where all I did was buy movies. There are groups of people where they boast the conundrum of the book collector. And then you have people who are like, no, I'm all about ebooks. I'm all about digital data. We're all just collecting story. And some people go on adventures throughout the world and they collect souvenirs. They're collecting adventure stories in the real world. That's their story. And what we love are the genres. If you're somebody who travels for food, well, that's your genre. If you're someone who travels and journeys and adventures for birds around the world, well, that's your genre. Knowing your genre is your identity, and your identity defines your life story. But we are all living, really, the ultimate love story. And it's how we define love, how we shape love. And love, mind you, is just the identity and the self. The word story. It is absolutely beautiful when you start to really wrap your head around the fact that we are just story beings. And healing is defining you as the author, you as the writer, you as the main character, you as the backstory, you as your future story. And we are so ingrained into this concept of being story beings that should someone come into our story, we develop mental illness. That's what mental illness is. It is the usurping of one's story. That is what mental illness is. Your story being usurped from you. We cannot live sane-wise without the defined story. So someone's taken your story away from you. You've taken your story away from you. Somebody's taken your main character away from you. They've forced the main character into your story. You've put your main character into someone else's. Somebody has rewritten your story. That's what gaslighting is. You've rewritten someone else's story. And we're all arguing over whose story is the right story. And then you've got fascists going, this is the story. And then you've got hippies going, hey, live your own story, man. Just make sure I'm pushed at the very bottom so that everyone else is above me. And then the seventh perspective is going, no, everyone needs their own story and everyone requires balance and alignment. Well, you all take turns being your own audience, telling your own story. That's what communication is. It is the exchange, the give and take of whether you're going to listen to another story or tell your story. But most of us feel like no one ever hears our story. That's when we feel invisible. Now, isn't that interesting that we feel unseen and invisible when someone does not receive our story? Oh, we are story beings through and through. It's in our DNA. It is extraordinary. And once you understand this concept, your mental illness just falls right off of you. Oh, I'm the author of the story. Now, this comes natural to authors. This is actually a joke among authors, people who write books. I have to clarify. Author in this sense means people who writes books. It's the ego of the creator. How many people you're going to kill today in your book? How many people you're going to let live? Who you're going to give birth to? There is a real ego, a confidence that comes with writing a book. No one ever says, you do it first, but you quickly get over it. What should I do with my character? And all the other author says, put them in a tree and then throw rocks at them. No, burn the tree down while they're in the tree. I like to light rocks on fire and then throw the burning rocks at them in the tree. And ultimately, you, the author, have to decide how you're going to make life difficult for your character. This is authorship. This is authority. You get to play God. Everyone likes to say that Frankenstein had a serious problem with the God complex. No, I disagree. Oh, there's so much happening in Frankenstein. Mary Shelley was the real God complex there because she was the author going, I'm going to make his life miserable. And she did. Yeah. Mary Shelley was the one with the God complex. Every author has a God complex, and you're supposed to. That's how you get your authority. By embracing arrogance, by embracing confidence, by going, this is my story. I'm going to wear a crown, and I am the God of my realm. You better be the God of your realm because I want to trade with you, and that will be fun. You, again, as defined, is to whom it may apply. It's ownership. It's taking responsibility for your choices. That's really what this is. I read something somewhere that said it was a fantastic summation of all of trauma. And they were fucking accurate, 100%. Trauma happens when you think you lose your authority. That's it. It is the loss of your power. That's all it is. The loss of your authorship and the loss of your power. The power is the energy that one wields when they own and claim and know their authorship. When you lay in the mud, you choose to lay in the mud. When you are the victim because somebody's preying on you, you choose it. Because you can stand. You can choose. You can change. It's the value of the abuser over yourself. That's the choice people make when they're abused. They are choosing the safety of the abuser over the self. They're choosing it. They're choosing to protect the people who abuse them. They're choosing to prioritize the abuser, choosing to value. It's a hierarchy. It's putting somebody on a pedestal above yourself, and you've chosen it. It is the ultimate form of responsibility and accountability when you finally decide, I'm going to change my life, which is why after the fifth perspective, that's when things change with your healing. I was talking to one of my friends, a psychologist, and she was 30-year psychology she has. And she explained it to me. She's like, it's interesting. She goes, I'll be working with somebody, but as soon as they get to that accountability, it's a different person. She goes, that's when they really change. And I just smiled and said to her, yes, that's the fifth perspective. That is it. Every fifth perspective learns accountability. They are learning accountability during the fifth perspective. But once you internalize the fifth ethic, once you understand, oh, I have authority, I am accountable, boom, you're in the sixth perspective. That's when you get serious about change. That's when you realize I have the power to say to my abuser, you are little and I am bigger than you, and I am not going to value your bullshit anymore. That's when change happens, when your accountability changes, when you get out of the fifth perspective. You want to heal? If you're stuck on healing, I can tell you what's wrong. You don't know how to self-govern, fourth perspective, and you don't know how to be accountable, fifth perspective. Get through the fifth perspective and your life changes. It's just growth. It is just growth. That's all it is. Because we're stories, we create imagined realms and mindsets that become our reality because we've chosen those realities. And we all learn this at a different stage. Yeah. Authorship. It really, truly is the empowerment of the self. It's understanding your coordinates, defining yourself, knowing who you are. And it literally is all of the power in your world when you make that changeover. Thank you so much for being my audience. May the kindest of words always find you.